And we're live. Awesome, awesome. Waiting for some people to start viewing the podcast. All right. Well, we got something, another interview for today. We had a good interview yesterday with the Democratic hopeful. He'll be Sergio Nandin. Appreciate him reaching out to us and wanting to sit down with us and everything. And today we have another interview scheduled. Today we have attorney Edgar H. Juarez that will be that is actually running for the 365th district judge. So that race will be against Amado Abascal. He is the current judge, the honorable judge at this time. So he's going to run for re-election while Edgar is challenging, of course. So we have him here on our show, and we're grateful to have him. We've had him before, but we'll go ahead and bring him on. Hey, Edgar, how you doing today?
First off, Isaac, thank you so much for having me on. I greatly appreciate this opportunity to be on your show here today. I will admit I feel a little bit under the weather, feel a little bit down, with all this COVID and stuff going around. But I thought it was important that I set a meeting with you and I keep that. And so a good thing that there's Zoom available and good thing that there's video so that uh, we're not exposing ourselves and we can do this remotely. So at this time, thank you so much, Isaac.
Absolutely, absolutely. Edgar, well, it's been a while since we had you on from our last time that we interviewed you, and I think that we may be having some new people out here, maybe just tuning in now. You are in the race, and you are running for the 365th judicial district as to be the judge. Um,
And that's correct, Isaac. So just there's a lot of people, especially your fans, they know me. But in case you don't, my name's Edgar Juarez. I am an attorney. I've been practicing for some time now, and I decided that I was gonna run for the 365th Judicial District, and that's what I'm doing. I'm running now. A lot of people confuse my race, and I just want to be perfectly clear. What I'm running for is district judge. Okay, so sometimes people will come up to me and they say like, "Oh, so what are you in relation to the Ramsey Salcedo?" And I don't want people to confuse that race. My race is different. That race is for county judge. That's for Maverick County Judge, the one between David Salcedo and Mr. English Ramsey Cantu. That's not the race that I'm running. I'm running for district judge. So my race encompasses Maverick, Dimmitt, and Zavala. So if you live in the city of Eagle Pass or you live in Maverick County, people will ask me, well, do I get to vote? Yes, you get to vote. Again, if you're in the city of Eagle Pass, Crystal City, Quemado, Asherton, Katrina, La Pryor, if you're within the counties of Maverick, Dimmitt, and Zavala, you get to vote for the 365th Judicial District race. And so you are allowed to vote. And I am going up against an incumbent that's been there for some time. And I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. Rewind and letting us know up to date of what's happening. So you are in this race, and can you describe to me the challenge is that you're faced with, being that this is as you mentioned, a 3-county race. So it's not just locally here in Maverick County. You have other 2 counties that actually cast their votes and everything like that. So what kind of I guess obstacles has that presented to your campaign?
Well, here's the beauty of it. The one of the obstacles, of course, is that not only do I have to concentrate on Maverick County, but I also have to go and meet my constituents and Dimmitt and Zavala. And so that does pose a challenge, but that doesn't really concern me much because many people from Maverick County already know who I am. Why? Because I've been very active in the community. It's not that I just woke up one day and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm a total stranger and nobody knows me here. I'm going to run for this election, for this race." Quite the contrary. I've done a lot of what I consider public service, and so many individuals know me not only in Eagle Pass in Maverick County, but they also have started to get to know me what is Dimmitt County, which is Carrizo Springs, and Zavala County, which is Crystal City. And the reason that people have gotten to know me is because I have been involved in a lot of the activities, a lot of fundraisers, a lot of sports activities, a lot of family field oriented events that I participated uh, all year round. Because for me, it's important if you want change, and that's what I'm seeking here. If you want real change, you need to go out there. You can't just show up on election time and and expect people to know who you are and just bank on that. It's one of these things where people um, they want someone that's going to be there. They want someone that can relate to the to the people out there. And so that's what I've tried to do, and that's what I've been doing all this time.
Awesome. And what kind of activities have you been doing besides here in Maverick County? I mean, have you done any, politically speaking, block walking, or what kind of, outreaches have you been able to participate in?
Okay, and so that's a very interesting question. um, I had anticipated doing a lot more block walking than I am. Unfortunately, number one, the climate does not lend itself. Number two, it's been very unfortunate that because of certain circumstances, I have had the unfortunate to have isolated myself and quarantined myself. Um, there's no secret. Omicron, the corona COVID virus, is rampant throughout our community. And so I've had to limit myself in regards to that. So what you've seen a lot of outreach that I've done has been a lot through social media. You've seen a strong presence of me through social media. And the reason for it is because that's the safest way. See, I don't want to just talk the talk, but I want to walk the walk. And what does that mean? One of my biggest proponents in this is that I think in order for us to better ourselves in the court system, in the race that I'm running, is I think we need to implement technology. Basically saying, hey, there is ways to get a mission done. There's ways to accomplish certain things through technology. Yes, I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with block walking, and I think that's important. And I'm hoping that the weather is going to cooperate in the next month that's coming up, and I'm hoping that the numbers of COVID decline, and it helps not only my race but any other race that's out there. But the truth of the fact, the reality is this, Isaac: the numbers aren't dwindling. The numbers continue to rise. In fact, I'm going to make a public service announcement right now and say, you know what? Number one, if you're out in public, use the safety precautions that the CDC has told us all along. Continue to wear your masks. Stand 6 feet apart, because COVID is still very real. In fact, I was very saddened here today. It turns out that a relative that was very, or my wife, passed today from COVID, and it was very saddening for me because it reminded me of this past August. I lost my brother to COVID, and the reason I bring this up, Isaac, and I want to tie this in with my race, is the following: is that we need to still stay vigilant. And what does that mean? That means that we need to use technology in the court system, because we need to prevent, or we need to help stop the spread of this virus. You know,
Mhm.
and the only way that we're going to be able to do that is if we implement technology like Zoom. So one of my biggest things that I have, um, that I've pushed for this, is that in the 365th Judicial District, in that courtroom, unfortunately, we've had um, a huge, what I call pending cases. The cases are just, what is, and I say backlog, and some people say, what does that mean? Basically, in the 365th Judicial District, in that court, cases are stuck. And why are they stuck? Because when you're doing in-person hearings, of course, because of COVID and other things, you can't get that many cases done. It just can't happen. And so what I'm saying is, let's implement technology. Let's implement video by Zoom. Not only that type of technology, let's also implement where things get processed uh, through electronic means, so things get done quicker. And what does that happen? What effect do you have? That means that if you have a case that's lingering in that court, your case is going to get heard faster. Your case is going to be heard, instead of it taking what's taking right now 2 to 3 years, and your case is stuck in that court. You know, maybe
So
we can do it.
so currently the way it is, the at the 365th, you're saying that cases right now take 2 to 3 years to resolve?
Well, and the so I can tell you this, that when you compare cases between two courts, one is the 365th, which I'm
Mhm,
running for, and the other court, the 293rd, it
mhm.
always seems that the chief complaint is that things are stuck in the 365th and things are done very quickly in the 293rd. Now, uh, I mean, there are countless examples of where a simple divorce should not take you 3 to 4 years. In fact, today I was speaking to a gentleman from Crystal City, and he was explaining to me how he was very upset. And I hear this time and time again. What was his anger? He was angry because he says, I was with I had court in the 365th, Mr. Juarez, and all I kept asking my attorney is, get me a court date because we have an agreement. Well,
Mhm.
because cases are so behind, they're stuck for whatever reason. Blame it on COVID, fine. But they're so behind, they're stuck, that even you're not even getting court dates for cases that are ready to get resolved. He says, I had to spend an additional 2 years waiting. When I had a friend of mine that was in a very similar situation in the other court, that got it done within 4 months. And that's what I keep hearing over and over and over and over again. That's why people are fed up. And it's not just the 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 people that are waiting for court. This is known throughout the community. It's one of these little. It's a known. I don't want to say known secret, but uh, ask around. Just ask around, and they will tell you this, that for whatever reason it just takes a very long time to get things done. And the reason for it, I'm going to tell you, is the way they have their system is so antiquated. We need to get a
Mhm.
system that's going to be a lot quicker and a lot faster.
And, so one of the things that you're saying that will be addressed if you get elected will be that, the court system, the 365th, is gonna move towards, technology that we see now at the 293rd district.
And that's correct. And I keep saying Zoom, but let's move away from Zoom for a second. What else? What other things can we implement? Okay. So one of the first things that I'm going to implement is, the first thing that I'm going to do is, well, let's backtrack. Look, so what kind of cases get heard? Because people will say, well, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Who does this affect? How does it affect me? Look, if you have a child support case, if you want a protective order, if you have a personal injury car accident case, if you have a felony criminal case, if you have a dispute with someone else about property, all these cases are heard in a court. All these cases are heard, and if you live in Maverick, Dimit, or Zavala, if you have any of those cases, they're either going to be heard by through 365th, and that's my opponent, or they're going to be heard in the 293rd. Okay,
Mhm.
uh, that is the Honorable Judge Maribel Flores. Now, what the Honorable Maribel Flores did is when she took office, what she decided to do, the very first thing she did is that she wanted to make sure that all the cases that were pending, all the cases that were for whatever reason were stuck in her court that didn't get
Mhm.
moved, she made it a priority for it to move it, and she's done a wonderful job in regards to that. That's why cases in her court get moved and gets processed. Now, unfortunately, the 365th, for whatever reason, that judge has been there, and he says it. I have a lot of experience, 30 years of experience. That's what he says. Like,
So he's been in that position for 30 years.
he has, and there are
Oh, wow.
cases that are pending, and then and I'll be the first one to say. In fact, there are even cases that are even pending before his time, right? And then you say, well, how can we? Why do we blame him? And here's the thing: when he took office, one of the things that a judge is supposed to do is whenever you take over that job and you take over those cases, and it's your job to dispose of those cases. So when I get elected and I take this position, I'm not going to say, well, you know what, the guy that was there before, those were his cases, and I'm not. No, no, I need to address those. So that's the
Mhm.
first thing that I'm going to do. So people are asking me, like, why is it important to vote for me? Why is it to elect Edgar Juarez for this position? Well, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at all the cases that are stuck, that are just been there for years and years and years. And I'll tell you, some of them, believe it or not, are ready to get resolved. But for whatever reason, the court has not ruled on them. What does that mean? That means that the evidence has been presented. Sorry about that, Isaac. The evidence has been presented. Um, the parties are waiting for him to decide one way or another,
Mhm.
and nothing. People complain again about that. And so there are things that people are waiting for. A typical example, we have a system where a case starts off, it's an attorney general case. And here in Maverick County, an attorney general judge comes over and reviews it. Right? If you don't agree with that, you get to petition the court, which to review that case. And when you do that, it's either going to land with either the 365th or the 293rd. Now we're talking about child support cases. That means that somebody's child needs to receive support. You know,
Mhm.
that's the way you kids, they need to be raised and they need to be supported. So what happens is when you appeal a case, and I don't want to get too technical, but what happens, it goes to either Judge Abascal or it goes into Judge Flores. Okay,
Flores, yeah.
right, one of the either two. So for whatever reason, whenever that happens, the 365th will not rule on those types of cases. You can ask attorneys, you can ask litigants, they just get stuck there. And basically, we ask the court to review those cases to see if the lower court, if the attorney general judge ruled properly. When you
Mhm.
ever when you ever ask for review for the 293rd, you get that promptly set, and you don't have to worry about exposing anybody because she'll set you on a video conference, and you don't have to worry about whether but that doesn't happen in the 365th. So what happens? That case just stays there. So there's a ruling, but we don't know whether that ruling is correct or not because the
Mm.
court hasn't ruled on that. And it's not only that particular case. I can go on and on and on and on about a lot of litigants are still waiting for their cases to be resolved. So then you're listening to me right now out there in the public and you're telling me, well, wait a minute. Well, I don't have a child support case. Well, how does it affect me? I'm going to tell you this. That the reason it affects you is because if it's not you and if you haven't gone through this, It might be your brother. It might be your sister. It might be your neighbor. Heaven forbid, in the future, you find yourself where you're gonna need something from the court. And the way it works is whenever you file something in court, the same what either one case it lands either 365th and then following case is 293rd. So they alternate. So the same amount of cases are heard virtually. Basically, each judge receives about the same amount of cases. So
Okay.
it's a luck of the draw. It's not like I can choose. Oh, I want to end up with this judge. So, an example, let's just say that things are not going well, and you need child support, and you file a child support action, and you need relief from that, and you happen to file your cause of action. If it lands on the 293rd, well, that's good for you because you know that you're going to get your day in court. It's going to be justice, it's going to be fair, and it's going to be safe. If it lands in the 365th, God knows when you're going to get a court hearing. You could be stuck there for two. No, this is that. And you know, Isaac, you laugh, but the reason that because it's so sad that it's you can't help but laugh. Honestly, I mean, it's a so sad, and people are there waiting and waiting and waiting. But that's the story, and that's the reason, Isaac, I decided that I was going to run for this position. And that's the reason that I'm here running for the 365th.
Yeah, and you actually mentioned something that we were gonna talk about was testing positive in the one of the courts in the 365th. One of the things that we wanted to talk about that we saw you
Mhm.
post about a fellow attorney that ended up testing positive for in attending the 365th judicial court.
Yeah, and so
So
and I'm glad that you bring this up in this sense because I believe it or not, I've gotten some for lack of a better, and I don't mean to sound like I don't want to be negative or anything, but I've gotten some trolls out there that are trolling me now. You
are you
know,
serious?
well, yeah, uh, you know,
Like okay,
look,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off,
okay,
but so whenever you say you have people trolling you,
hmm
what exactly does can you define what trolling is for people?
okay. So is for me when somebody is trolling me, to me,
Mhm,
what I understand it to be, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Isaac. So I put out something in regards to my campaign, and everything that comes from me is facts. There's no innuendos, lies, fibs, tales, none of that. Because I don't know if you recall this, Isaac. I told you I anticipate running a clean campaign. So
mhm.
whenever I say something, it's facts. I'm not making this up. These are just facts. And so then what what happens is I state facts on there, and then I get uh personal attacks. You know, this guy's a nobody, yada yada yada, and that's what I consider people trolling me in the regards. I mean, yes, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but here's the thing, Isaac. If I put something on there, I by no means is my intention to be dirty. And I've heard this about dirty campaigning and this and that. No, look, there's nothing dirty. These are they're undisputed. I mean, you can look these up. You can look. These things are public record, and
Mm.
so I want to stay away from that. And also, I've gotten private messages from fake accounts and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes, I've gotten messages from fake accounts that they're gonna smear my name and things like that. And again, I guess it comes with the territory. Maybe I am a bit naive, Isaac. Maybe that's all it is. But in regards to this COVID thing, one of the things that I got some backlash was that I was commenting how, you know, we happened to be well. I wasn't at okay. So It was my understanding that there was an in-person hearing. That
Mhm.
means that the people were attending in person in the 365th. And after that
Okay.
attendance, there was an attorney there that had been there for more than 2 hours.
Well, we 2022. Okay, there you go. We have Edgar on. Let me go ahead and bring him back up, guys.
I'm
Edgar,
sorry.
welcome back.
Thank you. I apologize. I was in the middle of something. And the next thing you know, I was like, I didn't see you anymore. Anyway, so uh, as I was saying, this was approximately about 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
There was an there was an attorney that was that was in court. Okay, and I don't want to, because of privacy reasons and stuff of that nature. I don't want to go into the who the attorney was. It is, but my understanding was that that attorney had done a home test and that had come out negative, and so he inquired, or he was told that he needed to be in court, and he showed up. That's my understanding. And then uh, it was after that that he had been in court, that later that day he he got the results that it was positive. Okay, and I've heard people say, well, you can't blame the court because you need to take personal responsibility. I've heard people say that, and I've heard people say that it's the attorney's fault because he shouldn't have been there if he thought he was not feeling well, you know. Uh,
Mhm.
I'll tell you this: by the time we know it's apples or oranges, or you can make all the arguments you want. I can tell you one thing for sure, that you don't have these types of issues or incidents in the 293rd. And the reason for it is because people aren't showing up in person, because that's the safe way to do it. Especially right now that Omicron is so high, that testing is, I mean, people are, I mean, it just seems that everybody's testing positive. And
Mhm.
so you don't have those issues on that court. And so instead of trying to uh I guess uh bounce off the responsibility of the person that gets to set the rules, because believe it or not, my opponent, he is the district judge that gets to set the rules on the protocols of COVID. It used to be the administrative judge in the it used to be the I'm sorry, it used to be a judge that was the regional judge that used to decide what happens with the COVID protocols. But the
Mhm.
Texas Supreme Court have ruled that the ones that gets to decide the protocols locally is an administrative judge locally, and my opponent happens to be that person. And so the way he has his rules, uh, he, in fact, you can go on his webpage and look up his rules, and in the rules it says that you're gonna try to do remote as much as possible. That's what it says on the rules, but
Mhm.
that's not what's practicing. That's not what's being done in practice. And
So
then
he's not doing any Zoom at all. Like there's
I don't. I think at one point he might have done something with a phone call, Zoom phone calls. I think right now, if you're allowed to, I think you may call in. he allows some people to call in. In fact, uh, 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 my understanding is that you need to request to whether to be in person or not, and then they allow you whether no, you need to be in person or you can do it by telephone. So interestingly enough, he that attorney tested positive, right? And then people that were in that courtroom and that with that attorney, uh, um, that were with him in that courtroom, were exposed, right? And then um, his staff was obviously there in the courtroom, so he was exposed to that attorney. His courtroom staff, the person that's there typing things away, was exposed. So was the other people, the clerk that's there for his staff. And then, interestingly enough, a couple days later, those people are again in court with other attorneys. No,
Oh,
and I just happened to be in that court a couple of days later. Now, I don't. Again, I'll tell you this. I tested positive for COVID. Interestingly enough, after that, that was on a Friday. I tested. I think it was that Sunday. I started feeling symptoms, and I went to go
mhm.
test that Monday. I will never be able to tell you that I got COVID from. I don't know where I picked it up. I mean, I could have picked it up anywhere. I mean, we get it. There's there's it can be, it's virtually impossible to tell. But I can tell you that this though, the less places that we are, the safer. There's safer ways to do that, and I think that there's a safer alternative than what's happening currently in the 365th.
And the adaptation, I mean, I know moving up to a Zoom, it requires some technology, but of course, not anything impossible because it's being done in the 293rd Judicial District, correct? So
Yes.
I kind of did a look around and see what was going on. I saw that you had shared that there was a San Antonio attorney group, lawyers group that were griping about no Zoom in court. So this is not just something that is affecting people here. It's affecting people everywhere, other places if they do not have Zoom court.
And that's correct. This is you see this is this is this is a worldwide pandemic. I mean, and so you're absolutely right. It's not only an issue that's happening here, it's not an issue that happens with other courts. And it always seems like if you ever if you did look at that article, it always seems like that there's one judge. So like in San Antonio, all these judges are continuing to have court safely. They're continuing to have court safely. Oh, and by the way, during this time, my understanding that in San Antonio, it was one judge that they were complaining about. And also, an interesting tidbit of information: during this time, there was no jury trials. They held off on a jury trial. So a jury trial, uh, um, in a jury trial, it's a little bit different because you actually have to bring in a lot more members of the community to pick a jury. So,
Mhm.
but believe it or not, here in the 365th, people are still getting jury summons, and people have to show up. The last time that I was in a jury summons, the last time it was right dead smack in the pandemic. I think there was
Mhm.
60 people. You know, uh, you know, uh, to me that's unsafe.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I'm not the administrative judge here. My
Mhm.
opponent is the one that gets to decide the rules and when things are going to move forward with jury trials and things of that nature. Uh, you know, and so
Edgar, let's backtrack a little bit. I don't know if you can see the question that I posted up here.
yeah.
They're saying that moments ago that we cut off through technology in the middle of somewhat debate the same technology you want to implement in the court system. How is that beneficial?
Oh, okay.
Um, can you go over that real quickly again?
Yes, of course. So look, no matter what you do, and thank you so much, Mr. Garza, for pointing that out. No matter what you do, no system is going to be perfect. I mean, I'll tell you, when sometimes when we have court, and it's in Zoom, we have obstacles that we need to overcome. But here's what you don't do. Oh, because we have that obstacle, because we don't want to address that. Let's put everybody in danger. That's not the solution. You know, and again, so are you saying that we rather put lives at risk? You rather expose people that are vulnerable? You rather slow down and the whole judicial system because you want to do this the old school way? Yeah, technology is going to bring in new issues. Yeah, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
But that solution is better. It's the lesser of two evils. And that's the beauty of it. If you don't even try, you're always going to be stuck with those issues, and you're always going to. But if you implement it, things get easier. I still remember a long time ago when we started the Zoom at first. uh, it, Ask any teacher. Ask the teachers. Yeah,
Mhm.
initially when they started, boy, did they suffer. Imagine if we would have made that. The oh, okay, well, it's difficult. We're not gonna. No, you just need to go. There's no excuse. There is no excuse to implement technology. There really is none. Especially everything that we have to gain. It outweighs anything that might be negative. But
Uh,
but
All
thank
right.
you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that for kind of backtracking for this person that didn't understand or didn't catch it. Well, actually, that we cut off. So that's good. Somebody saying, what are the state policy right now for having courts?
Okay, so the way it works is that the there is actually an order from the Texas Supreme Court, and basically what they've decided to do is they said that every local administrative judge needs to set out a plan, and my opponent is the one that created this plan, and um, he has it on his webpage. I was going over it to see how it affects me and my practice, and it does us no good to have a plan if at the end of the day you're still having required to show up to court in person. Here's the thing that so just because we have, let me rephrase that. Just because we can do it in person doesn't necessarily mean that we have to, because there's a quicker, there's a faster, there's a better way of doing it. And
Mhm.
so the other thing that I wanted to also kind of let people know, Isaac, look, I'll tell you this. By this point, people that agree with me are going to agree with me, and there's going to be a couple of people that will not agree with me, and for whatever reason, they're going to be stubborn, and we can agree to disagree. But at this point, what I really want, the message I want out is, if you want change, if you're one of those persons that says, you know what, we've been stuck here for the last 30 years, we need to do things different, we want brighter ideas, better ideas, it seems like this thing is not working, it seems that it's bogging us down, and you want something that's positive, because change is coming. And for there are some people that are just resisting it, but I tell you this, Isaac, change is on its way, it's coming. So early voting starts February 14th. February 14th, Valentine's Day. You can't forget that day. So, what I'm asking everybody that's here in Maverick County, that means precinct 1, 2, 3, 4, every precinct in Maverick County, or Dimmitt, or Zavala County, any precinct that you're on,
Mhm.
everybody gets to vote in my race. And I am on the front page. Now, if you ever get a sample ballot, you're gonna see that a lot of the races are in the back. A lot of the
Okay.
races in the back. my race is one. I think it's the only race, and if I remember reading the ballot correctly, that's that, that's locally here. All the other races that are in the front are like they're higher state races, but my race is the race in the front. And in Maverick County, no matter what precinct you are, you're gonna see my name basically in the front page, and it's gonna
Mhm.
be all the way to the bottom to the right. And there's gonna be two names. I happen to be the second name, Edgar H. Juarez. Just remember, Justicia con Juarez, justice with Juarez, because that's my slogan, that's my logo, that's what I'm about, that's what I'm running. I'm running for justice because all these things that I'm saying, everything that you hear me say, it just boils down to one thing: a change for justice. That's what it boils down to. So again, March 14th, I'm sorry, February 14th, Valentine's Day, and that's going to run all the way to the 25th. So after you get your Valentine's Day gift, or soon after that, you go down, and in Maverick County, it's going to be in the multi-purpose center. That's where I anticipate it's going to be. If you're in Dimon or Zavala, you go to your local where you go and vote. And my race is going to be in the front page, the front first page. Okay, and again, mine is for district. So if you live in Maverick, you're Dimon in Zavala, you live in the county, you live in the city, it doesn't matter. What you're looking for is you're looking for my name at the bottom, right? And um, and make sure that you bubble in Edgar H. Juarez. Okay, I see a question. COVID is going to be like the flu. Other than Zoom, what are things that you want to change in the court? Very good question, Mr. Villarreal. So aside from that, the first thing that I was trying to explain to you, and I'm sorry if I got caught up, but the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go in there and I'm going to say, hey, I want a report of all the cases that are stuck. And I'm going to let you know, like right now, I asked for a report in December between the two courts, and I will tell you this, that in the 365th they were stuck more than 1,300 cases, like something outrageous, like
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
Uh, yes, a lot of cases, and that's it, black and white. These are facts. I'm not making these numbers up. You can go down to the clerk's office and ask for a report. But the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do what the 293rd did is I'm gonna ask for a report. Any case that's stuck, that isn't moving, I want to know why it's not moving. This is something that the 365th judge should be doing, but he's not. And figure out, hey, well, was the case heard or not? And if it was
Mhm.
heard, then why is it still showing that it's active or not? I need to make sure that I go through all those things. The second thing that I'm going to make sure that I do is once I get a list of all that, anybody that needs a court setting is going to get their court setting, but I'm going to do it safely. Okay. Aside from that, what I'm also going to do, I'm going to implement things to where things get done faster. So, for instance, like if your case is heard and you need the ruling, the order that says, okay, so you get so much child support, or you get awarded this, or you got so much money awarded to you, or you won this case, or you lost that case. I'm going to get that order done electronically. Because right now, what's happening is that this isn't done electronically. What they're doing is that you submit it electronically, and then it has to go through an office and it has to get printed on paper. Why are we printing things on paper? I do not know. But you gotta understand that and you're saying, like, well, what does that matter? I'm gonna tell you why it matters. Like, let's just say that you have child support coming to you, and there's an order that needs to be written on paper, right? So that means
Mhm.
that order needs to get then submitted, then it needs to be printed, then it needs to be walked over from one office to another office, then it needs to be sitting in a stack, and then after that, it needs to be signed over. And then once it's signed over, you either need to fax it or you need to mail it so that the people know that they got it. That can
Sounds erroneous.
no. It, I've had things. I'm not kidding. I've had things that were heard in January that I'm barely getting the paperwork in March.
Oh,
That's
wow.
because it was faxed In what are we doing faxing things, which is beyond me. You know, the quicker way to do it is you get submitted this electronically. That gets sent over, gets pushed to the judge. The judge
Mhm.
reviews it on her computer screen, approves it, clicks off on it. Within 30 minutes, you can get a signed order. It didn't go from one office to another. It can be done so quickly, and then you get an email, and then you have the order. And so that's the other thing that I'm going to do. Implement those two things. Um, Aside from that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear anything that hasn't been ruled on, because it's just sitting there. And
Mhm.
there are people that are upset, angry, angry, angry. So what I want to set up a system. The other thing that I'm going to do, and believe it or not, a lot of people don't realize this, but I'm going to coordinate my schedule with the other court. Because what happens whenever you have two courts, like for instance, you have the 365th and the 293rd, right? You have the two judges. Whenever they have court on the same day, it just messes everybody's schedule up. The attorneys, the people, because you're going to have run. You're running from court to court, and then in one court it's done by Zoom, and in the other court you got to go in person. But here's the thing. Here's another thing that people don't realize that I'm going to do different. I'm going to coordinate my schedule with the other court. Right now, believe it or not, in the court that I'm running against,
Mhm.
um, there's no like public schedule. Like he doesn't share his schedule.
Oh, wow.
He doesn't. You go any other court in just about virtually any other court in Texas, you can go onto the webpage and say, you know what, I want to know on this particular date what case is being heard. And you can click on it and you can say, oh look, yeah, that case is here and here, here, here.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I've seen the.
Yeah, he doesn't publish. He doesn't publish his, he doesn't publish his court. He doesn't.
Oh, so then that would become difficult in, for instance, if somebody's trying to schedule around, his schedule or what have you, you don't know if you're double booking or anything like that. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly. So look, this is the way it normally happens with other courts. Like for instance, I'll give you an example of 293rd. So the 293rd, if you go into the Facebook page of the 293rd, it will actually give you, I think it's right now, I just saw it today. It was like the next 6 months of when they have court, where they have court, and more or less what kind of court it is. So for instance, like it'll say like, and I wish I had it with me right now, but it'll say like March 3rd. This is just an example. March 3rd, Maverick County Family Law. So you know that on that particular date, the 293rd is going to have family court. And don't quote me on this because I'm just making up dates right now. But you know that on that particular date, that court will have, it's a family law case. So if you're looking to get a family law case heard on that day, that would be a good day for you to say, hey, can you schedule me for that day?
Mhm.
Right? That only makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't happen in the other court. In fact, he doesn't know that we don't know what days are there. In fact, if you call the court and you say, "Hey, can you give me a day?" They're going to tell you, "Oh, we don't give out dates." So, well, how do you know whether I'm available or not? No, we give you the date, and if you happen to be available, then you're available, and if not, then let us know. I mean, how can you get things done that way? You can't. You can't. You can't. You can't. You can't. But it's that chaotic. It's that
Wow.
chaotic. It's that chaotic in fact, I've had other attorneys complain against me that and just imagine, just think about it. You have a client that's involved in a had a car accident,
Mhm.
and the insurance company is you're telling the insurance company, hey, you better pay me my client money, or if not, we're going to see you in court. Then you know what the insurance company is going to ask if you're in Maverick County, David or Zavala? Well, what court are you in? And if you say the 365th, they say, we won't see you in court. You know how long it takes. You know, by the time we get a court hearing, That's what they say. That's what they do. And so then what happens is then the client is calling is like, hey, how come we haven't settled my case?
Yeah.
And then the attorney said, well, I can, I'm trying, but they won't, the insurance companies won't settle. Well, why not? Let's take them to court. Let the judge decide. Well, I've been trying to get the court to give me a date, but they won't give me a date. Those are the issues that we're coming across. That's the problems that we're having. And and again, if it doesn't happen to you today, imagine next year or the year from that, if you're found in that situation, are
Hmm.
you, you know, one one of the other slogans I say is justice delayed is justice denied. And that's just a fancy way of saying that if it takes you a long time to get justice, that's not justice. Why? Because when it's delayed, you're
Yeah.
actually denying somebody that justice. And that's the thing that I'm that's what I want. Yo quiero justicia para toda la gente de este pueblo, de esta comunidad. Si vives en lo que es el condado de Zavala, Dimmitt o Maverick, estoy pidiendo por tu apoyo y estoy pidiendo que votes por Edgar Juarez, por el juez del distrito 365. Las elecciones van a ser en febrero 14, día de San Valentín. En ese día quiero que vayan, festejen con su pareja y luego vayan y voten. La vota adelantada o temprana empieza el día febrero 14 y corre hasta el 25. Mi nombre va a estar en la primera parte de la página. Toda la gente lo que va a tener que ver es miren para abajo al mano derecho de la página el segundo nombre aquí en Maverick. Y si eres el condado, el precinct 1, 2, 3, 4, no importa, tú puedes votar para mi carrera, que es Edgar H. Juárez, Justicia con Juárez.
Yeah, thank you, Edgar. We have some. We've also been tracking some official endorsements that you've been getting, via Facebook and everything. You have the district attorney, Roberto Serna, came out publicly and endorsed you for the candidate for the position of district judge.
Hey, Isaac, just pause there and think 1 second. Just think about that. Okay, the district attorney, that's Roberto Serna. He's a
Mhm.
DA, the district attorney. That means he encompasses Dimmitt, Maverick, and Zavala. Okay, think about that. He is what we consider the top law enforcement officer, basically, of the district. Because whether a crime is committed or not, his office is the last place where it goes through before it gets to court. Whether a case gets charged or not in a felony in a district level, he would be that person. That's a powerful position. Okay? So think about that. The district attorney, this man has been in office for a long time also. I believe also close to 30 years, along the same amount of time as my opponent.
Oh
And
wow.
just think about that. They have been at their positions the same amount of time. For him to publicly endorse me speaks volumes. Just think about that. It's not only that Mr. Sedna is well respected and well liked or whatnot, and if you don't respect his opinion and be that as it may, fine. But just think about that notion. For whatever reason, he isn't endorsing the the sitting judge. You know.
Mhm.
Now, I will tell you this. That there speaks volumes. But not only
Well,
that, there's also other endorsements that we have.
yes, yes. I was about to bring those up. Honorable Judge Cynthia L. Muniz.
Okay, now you got to understand that Judge Muniz is retired. She used to be the 293rd judge, which now is being hold on by Maribel Flores. But you got to understand that Judge Muniz was in a very interesting position because not only was she in the same rank in regards to judge, she was a district judge. She was basically my opponent's colleague. You know, so their their courts their courts are basically the courts that control the land
Mhm.
here. Again, if you come and sit and you think about that, Judge Muniz did not have to endorse anybody. She could have just said, I'm going to stay silent. But
Mhm.
not only did she have the confidence in me, but obviously, if you look in her endorsement and you read her endorsement, read what it says. And we can address some of those things that it says here in her endorsement. She sees serious flaws in the 365th. Who better else than a judge that's running a court? If anybody knows a job, it's her.
Mm.
And if you read her endorsement, I ask you to go back and read her endorsement in regards to what it specifically says. And one of the things that you're gonna realize that it says is that she believes, in her opinion, justice cannot be achieved without the swift and fair administration of court. This is what she says. At a minimum, a judge should set cases in a timely manner, sign orders promptly, and create a calendar which is available to lawyers. She's already pointing out why she's supporting me. She's basically saying, look, you can't be just if things aren't done quickly. She knows what the issues are because she lived them. She was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I
No,
mean,
that's why I could appreciate her position, especially coming out with the endorsement, because, like you mentioned, who better else to know than somebody that has done the job? And I think she here locally, everybody, she's well known here locally, well liked, very much well respected in our community, and I'm sure that that was a big endorsement, especially coming from somebody with that kind of background, um, saying that there are things wrong in the court in the 365th currently as it sits with Judge Amado Abascal. And the other endorsement, I mean, okay, you have Roberto Serna, we have Honorable Judge Cynthia El Muniz, and we also had Maverick County Attorney Jaime AJ Racheta.
and
I think he's been watching the show for a little bit too.
that's correct. And I'm going to give a shout out to AJ because I think he has done a phenomenal job in what the tools that he has been given, and I tip my hat off to him. I like I said, I've been practicing for 18 years. A lot of my experience have been through criminal defense, so I know I know this. And of course, I've handled a lot of other types of cases, but in particular when it comes to criminal cases. And so, yes, I am very humbled and very appreciative that our very own Maverick County Attorney AJ Racheta gave me that endorsement, and uh, I want to believe that these endorsements come because these are the people that see the day to day interactions. These are the people that see what's really happening. You know, um,
Mhm.
you know, it's kind of like um, there no matter what happens, those positions are positions that the people elected them to do. So
Mhm.
I can tell you that is what I believe would be they're gonna call a spade, you know. and maybe someone else that's not there, or maybe someone that goes to court, you know, may not have the same liberty of to express what they really want to say. But so to me, those endorsements really mean a lot, and I thank them each for the endorsements. And we're in it to win it. So thank you so much. And not only that, I'll be honest. To me, you know what really gets me, really pushes through with this campaign, is not only these people, but when I get calls, when people stop me on, and message me. I haven't been out for some time, so I haven't really been speaking one on one in person with people, but I still get calls, I still get messages. My, my social media is just incredibly, the amount of you know my phone is, what is that expression, is blown, or that,
Uh-huh.
what did I say,
Blowing up.
it's blowing up constantly. Just I get calls from people telling me, and so I know the message is getting out there. So you know uh, and believe it or not, I get a lot of this. I get a lot of uh hey, well, they kind of they told me not to vote for you, but I'm gonna vote for you. There seems to be a lot of this thing in Maverick County for whatever. And
So about how many people have you gotten that tell you that?
Isaac, what is the saying? If I had a nickel for everyone, I would be a millionaire. I mean, I
Oh
lost
wow, that
track.
many.
I don't know. Yeah, no. I mean, it's just over and over and over and over of people. How, me, and you got my support, you got my vote, me and my family, this and that, and thank you for all the people that have asked for signs, and have asked for my stuff, and so I greatly appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, politics, I got to learn this, is dirty. And so I've had people that tell me, you know what, they basically said that, I should lay low. We don't want any repercussions. And so, you
Now,
know uh,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think that that's a very good a topic that a lot of people may not understand, because I know the way you handle, court and all that. I mean, that's why you hire a lawyer, right? Because they know the process of handling those legal issues that somebody can come up with. So, in moving forward with that, you're coming out against a sit-in judge, a judge that has been there for 30 years, that feels, that that's his court, right? And you also have, besides you running against him, and then you have other people that are coming out and doing an endorsement. Now, what you were kind of getting at, are you worried about any possible type of retaliation for running against him, or is that something that has been heard of before? I mean, I'm getting the kind of sense that these people kind of went out of their way a little bit to do this endorsement publicly, because there is the sense, and it does make sense that if he gets reelected, there could be repercussions for supporting the other side. Is that something that happens in in the judicial world?
okay, so let me say a few things, Isaac. Um, so I can tell you one thing. Let's just say that I wasn't running, right? And a sitting judge comes over to me and says, hey, I want you to sign this letter to endorse me, or to support me, right? Let's just say that I would be inclined, because if I didn't, I would think in the back of my mind, wait a minute, I have all these cases there, Does that make
Mm,
sense? Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So and basically in the flip side, oh yeah, I mean that it, it's only human to think like, well, if someone endorses me or doesn't endorse me, that's the things that you got to think about, like, because I hear that, well, so and so endorsed the judge, or so and so did this, and then
Hmm.
all I can tell you one thing. Number one, I don't know anybody else's position. All I know is the position that I. But in the flip side, I can tell you that if there's attorneys that are supporting him, you know, I can tell you that if I were in their shoes, that's one of the things that I would be thinking. I mean, again, I don't know what is in people's hearts, or things like that. I will tell you that I think it's uh, I think it would be interesting to see uh, if there's any fallout. I mean, again, you know how I said, Isaac, that unless I have facts, I have something, I
Yeah.
cannot come
Hmm.
out and say either way. So I don't know. I don't know in those regards, but I can tell you that this. I think that that's what happens when I hear a lot of people tell me, like, you know what, I'm gonna be privately supporting you, because I think people, especially here in Maverick County, and not just in my race, in a lot of races, I hear this a lot, where, you know what, I went and I publicly said something to somebody and something like that, and then there was repercussions again. And so, whether it's happening in my race or not, the issue with it is that there that is something that's real. It's a real notion. All I can tell you is that I'm happy with the endorsements that I have. I think that in those regards, there may be in a different situation than maybe some of the other attorneys that
Hmm.
may have decided to endorse him or not endorse him. I mean, I know that that would be in the back of my mind if, a sitting judge comes over here, and, if I say no to him, but be that as it may, I'll just leave it at that.
No, yeah, I mean, it's a real interesting thing. I know that uh, stuff like that does tend to happen around Maverick County. Now, I don't know exactly too much about the district because does encompass two more counties, but it's interesting to think that you know you will have cases there, even if whatever the results are. So it's going to be interesting whether how the reaction is. But if you would come and give me something to say, sign here to endorse me, uh, somebody, I see how you mean, somebody would feel obligated to either sign, or if you don't sign, better be ready if you don't, because you may get some backlash for that. Now, moving on, there is another thing that I want to touch a little bit about. That would be, it's no secret. You can Google your opponent's name, Judge Abascal, and you can, about the fourth or fifth search there, they go ahead and they'll have a website where you can link up, and it gets to where he was actually indicted and publicly reprimanded. Is that correct? Can you explain a little bit about that?
And that is correct. And again, I'm just gonna I can just so see, though, there's a couple of people that I'm gonna hear in social media about this, and they say that it's dirty campaigning and politics, and they say that I'm mudslinging and trying to dirty the waters. And uh, this is public record. This is something that you can go online. In fact, um, I'm not the first one to post it. There were in fact, I didn't post about it first. In fact, my understanding is I saw the post a few times, and in fact, I think it was deleted. It's been deleted a few times also. But if you go ahead and Google my opponent, you're gonna see. And what
Yeah.
basically.
Can you give me a second? I just pulled it up while you were saying where you were talking about it right now.
Okay.
It's an article from the Houston Chronicle. It says
Okay.
South Texas judge returning to bench after guilty plea.
Mhm.
A judge from Eagle Pass who was indicted but never convicted of felony charges related to alleged improper campaign contributions will return to bench after pleading guilty to a misdemeanor. State District Judge Avalo Abascal III pleaded guilty last week to a misdemeanor charge of tampering with a government record.
Okay, so first of all, we need to put this in so that there's no mislead or something like that. What this stems from something that happened back in 2002. Okay, the allegations, my understanding was that my opponent basically took um, $15,000 from the casino as a for his election. That was a claim, right? And and again, that was what stemmed all of this. And if you look up his public reprimand, it actually gives you the whole story behind it, and you can go back. But basically, in a nutshell, from that, what happened was he got indicted. He basically got indicted for felony, um, and this happened back then. You got indicted in Travis County because he was an elected official, and he ultimately what it was basically the one felony was that he tampered with governmental records, which means that he put something fraudulently when he reported the when this alleged $15,000.
And
And
and this is when he was a district judge, right? He
yes,
was
he
a,
was a district judge. Back in 2002, at that time, he was running for office. He had an opponent, and so he needed to raise money. And the allegation is that the casino gave him $15,000, and he didn't report it legally the way he was supposed to. That was the allegation. So he got indicted. That was the first felony that he didn't report it. He did it fraudulently. And then after that, because of the investigation, he testified to a grand jury because they were investigating. And so then two more felonies came out, and those allegations were that he lied to the grand jury two different times about these monies, right? And
Mhm.
then so he basically had three felony charges against him. Mind you, he was a sitting judge when all of this was happening. When he got these
Yeah,
charges, he was getting paid while this was happening. He's been collecting paycheck. Oh, and during all this time during COVID, when he didn't do Zoom hearings, and the court was at a standstill in his court,
yeah.
he was still getting paid.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he continues to get paid. But and then so then what ultimately happened on that case was that he made an agreement. My understanding that the agreement was that he wasn't going to plead to the felonies. That basically what he was going to plead to was a misdemeanor, uh, arising out of the not properly reporting it. Um, and so because of that, he was able to keep his job and he was able to continue as being judge. But the interesting thing about it is that you got to understand that it's not just the criminal aspect of it.
Mhm.
You got to also realize that in our profession, the State Bar of Texas and the judicial system, our organization, the state of Texas, they govern us. They govern my license, they govern his license, they govern all the attorneys. They have committees that oversee people's actions. And just because if you were charged with an offense, or you weren't charged, or you pled guilty, or you didn't plead guilty, they also have a say so in this. So they made an investigation. They went and investigated it. And again, this isn't Edgar Juarez saying this. It's not me that's saying this. This was something that was before my time.
Yeah,
And
no, I mean, I pulled it up by Google searching his name
uh,
and putting Eagle Pass, and a story came out, within the first five links
no,
up.
but if you look at it, it's actually a public reprimand. If you look at if you it's actually called the public. That's just a news article. But if you look at the public reprimand, if you look at that, what you're gonna find out that the 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 commission that basically um, handles all the committee, the commission in regards to um, the attorneys and judges. What they did their own investigation, and this is what they determined. They determined that they believe that the judge had violated the election code.
Mm.
They believe that he did it because he accepted a $15,000 contribution, and it should have not come from one source. It should have come from 15. That's what they believe. That's what
Yeah.
they found. I know people are going to argue that it didn't happen or whatnot. Again, this is the commission, the Texas Commission. They say that he failed to report a loan and he failed to report on a balance. And because he also pled to the misdemeanor, that he knew that he violated that law, and because of that, that was clearly inconsistent with a proper performance of his duties, and that cast public discredit upon the judiciary system. So the commission that governs our body, attorneys and lawyers, the State Bar of Texas, uh,
Mhm.
um, they put out like a public reprimand that says, "Look, Judge, this is what happened to you. We believe you did this thing that was wrong. This thing was wrong, and this thing was wrong, and you cast discredit upon us." And they reprimanded him, And so, you know, um, in those regards, um, again, I'm not making up these. These are not lies. These are not chismes or cuentos. You
Now,
know,
I mean, one of the things that, as a person, that lives in this community and may experience some of the having to go through these courts and everything. Now, I would feel a little bit to where if a judge did this, I mean, could he be the one able to judge me? You get what I'm saying? I
I'm
would
gonna tell
expect.
you, it's interesting that you say that. You know that there is usually when we see tampering with governmental records, you know what you normally see? It's usually a lady that's getting food stamps or Medicare, Medicaid, and that their husband left, and then they say he left, and then they report that he left, and then like a couple of years later, the guy comes back, and then these people don't tell Medicaid or Medicare or food stamps,
Mhm.
and then they go and they find out, and then they get charged with this. You think they're getting class A misdemeanors? You know?
So you're saying what in total, after the investigation or after he testified, that more charges came out. So it was a total of three.
There was a total of three. He ultimately pled to a misdemeanor.
Ultimately led down to a misdemeanor. Now
And that's
you
why he
see.
continues to be the judge. People ask, well, why isn't he in jail? Why is he a judge? And it was because he ultimately pled to a misdemeanor. But again, which is separate that the public reprimand, because the public reprimand, whatever he pled to, the public reprimand says, look, we, the Texas Commission, the Judicial Commission, we investigated this and we believe that you violated these. And they obviously they can't lock him up, but they can do a public reprimand, and that's what they did. That's why my opponent can never be a senior judge, and that's why he cannot become a visiting judge. That's another interesting thing that I don't know, a lot of people didn't realize it. There was a big move by, and you brought this story up, Isaac. I don't know if you remember this. That
Mhm.
there was a move to try to see if you can change the law so that the judge can become a visiting judge after they retire. I don't know if you
Yes, the
recall.
the the state rep was the one who brought up a bill
Right, right.
to try to change the rules.
Right, and that was based upon this, because my opponent cannot become he cannot become a visiting judge after this because of this incident,
Mhm.
and that was the whole thing behind that. Uh,
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, what the bill was is that it would allow, under the new bill passed. I mean, well, the bill ended up dying, I believe, right?
right,
But
right. It ended
it
up
was
dying.
it was submitted, but it would have allowed somebody in the same case, also the judge Abascal, it would have allowed them to serve as visiting judge the way you're saying it, and basically expanding the parameters to where it was such a long time ago or what have you, this year's past, we'll just forget about it and allow you to become a visiting judge.
Right.
So that's what that would have allowed for that to happen. That move would have, allowed for that to happen. And who knows? Maybe he doesn't run anymore, but
Well, I
you know,
believe that this is the last term that he gets because he's already there's a time requirement, you know,
okay.
and there are reasons for having age requirements, not time requirement. I'm sorry, I meant to say age requirements. You know, so I believe that if I'm not mistaken, this is the last time that he's able to run. I think after that he's aged out. So it's time to get in fresh blood. It's time to get in someone new. You know, we can't take another 4 years of this. We need to get justice done already. You know, I believe uh, he did his service, and you know he did you know what he did, and you know I hear a lot that there's experience and competence. You know, I hear that a lot, but what we need is we need the right type of competency. We need the right type of experience, and the experience that we need is someone that is up to par with this day and age, the 21st century. You know,
I
you
think
can't be you can't be
moving
a
forward,
typewriter.
right?
Yeah, you can't be a typewriter in a world of computers. You can't be faxing things when we have email. You know, out with the old, in with the new. Yeah, I see a question. Let's talk about the criminal justice system in the 360. Isaac, I think we've gone for an hour and 21 minutes. Are we ready to go for another hour? Oh my
No,
lord! If I can, okay. So, like I tell you, the court has a lot of parts to it. There's a juvenile section, there's a family law section, there's personal injury cases, and then there's criminal law. Um, I don't know where to begin. I mean, I can just tell you that, uh, yeah, it. People cannot be sitting in jail shouldn't be sitting in jail more than they have to. But when you have a chaotic system, um, what happens is sometimes people are not brought into court when they should be brought into court, and
mm,
so yes, and it go yeah. Um, just a lot that we can discuss, just specifically in criminal law. A lot of people don't like to discuss it because it's oh, those are criminals, and but believe it or not, us attorneys, we that's our job. We defend people that have been accused of alleged a crime. But this is what I have to say in regards to that. Look, whenever you have a criminal case, there's a checks and balance. Okay, meaning the district attorney brings the case forward, and then
mhm,
that's checked off by the judge, right? And uh, whenever you have cases after they've been brought forth, you know, for whatever reason, that case is not a good case uh, to try. Either they don't have sufficient evidence, people have passed away, or whatever reason, right? And so sometimes what you have a lot of the times in that particular court is that uh, we reach an agreement with the state of Texas, you
mhm,
know, and then what happens is that we have issues with the judge going along with that, and so it creates chaos in the court. Now, there are times where the judge needs to step in, and there's some discretion there, but um, sometimes, you know, in fact, this is true. There have been cases where the judge forces the state to go to trial. The 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 state tells them, look, this is the reason why this case should be dismissed, X, Y, and Z. It isn't. And then they force the state to show up on a trial date and basically tell the court that there's no evidence because there isn't sufficient evidence. And what we're doing is we're just creating chaos in the court. That those are days
mhm.
and times that we can be doing something else. You know, um, it it's just all I can say in my opinion is it's chaotic. And so we basically have to address that.
Yeah. No, man, that's a risk trying and then let's see.
Exactly. That's what happens when they're telling you, look, all this evidence is pointing against, you know, it's against. I mean, when they keep telling you that we and then what happens? Actually you risk, like people ask me all the time, like, hey, as a defense attorney, do you ever worry about the people they defend? Now, I actually, the people that I worry about uh, when I'm defending somebody is, believe it or not, defending an innocent person. Now that you lose sleep over that, and that's the thing that when you need for a judge to be, I believe, to be a good judge, you need to have been a prosecutor, which I was. You need to have been a um, worked in different aspects of the law, like personal injury, and which I have, and I also as a defense attorney. So I have experience on all those three things, and I think that's important as a judge. And I think that's important. I think that's important.
No, yeah, I mean, I can see like the point I was getting to. I want to backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
I can see where specifically talking about the public reprimand, what his, having been charged with an criminal, like anybody that would go and see him if they would steal a car or they'd murder somebody or theft or anything that you can get accused of, they'd have to show up at court. um, to me, I'm a strong believer that who would, I mean, how can somebody else that has been through the system or criminal system or has been accused or charged of one and ultimately pled guilty, so how can they sit in the judicial type of chair and the judge chair and judge me? You know what I mean? When you think of judges, you think of these people that, they don't even speed in their car. They don't even you know what I mean? They have their uh alcohol. They, if they go out, they have their alcohol system under the point zero eight and everything. You know what I mean? Like
Hey,
these are the
hey,
people
Isaac,
that would follow the rules if anybody.
I think you're asking is a rhetorical question, meaning that you don't expect an answer. But I'm going to give you the answer. The way that happens is they get elected.
Mhm,
So believe it or not, even after all these things, and here, this is a sad thing about this, people, is that if you want change, if you want change, we can talk about it till we turn blue. I need for you to go out there. I need for you to go vote. That's what I need. I need for you to, not only you that is listening out there, what I want you to do is I want you to go and get, let's do three of your friends. Not only are you going to go, but you're going to get three of your friends to go with you, because
mhm,
that's the way we prevent these things from happening. That's what we need to do. That's the way it happens. Because a lot of people, number one, don't even know my race. You know, number two, don't even know what the judge does. A lot of people are like, well, what is it to me? Well, why should I care?
mhm,
They don't know what the judges do. They don't know how important it is. The decisions that they make. And it's not until they're in that predicament. It's not until they're waiting for their money to be settled in a car accident. It's not until they're waiting for their case to get child
mhm,
support. It's not until you're waiting for a protective order because your loved one is basically beating you up. It's not until then that you realize that uh, um, um, you need this. And so, again, the way that we do it, the way that we do this, and we make sure that it doesn't happen, because I don't believe someone like that should be sitting as a judge. And
mhm,
so the way we do it is we go and we go and we get people to get voted. And again, Isaac, and I go and I tell all the people that are watching me and that are seeing this video, and all the people that have been very excited about me. I mean, uh, because change is coming, and I keep repeating it, but it's the truth. The amount of love and support that I've gotten is just unbelievable. It's just some of the things that people will come up to me and say that you know what, it's time for change. We really need something
Mhm.
new here. Something it really is this movement that is not only seen. You see it throughout the whole county.
Mhm.
You see it throughout the whole county, and I want people to get excited about this because I wish I could show everybody just the amount of support that I'm getting. You do well, we just need to unite, go out there and get this done. You know, we're in it to win it. I have no doubt that we're gonna prevail with the help of every supporter. I want everybody that's called me. I want everybody that's put out a message to me. Everybody that has done it publicly and also privately to go out there. The importance of it. If we don't go out and vote, if your voice is not heard, then we're gonna have the outcome that we had in these last 30 years.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Well, I'll go ahead and end it with this, Edgar. On our poll that we had here on the Rising Texan, we didn't have too many votes come in, but you did outvote Amado Abascal by the our followers went in ahead and took the poll. Like I said, we didn't have too many come in, but 31 I think came in, and you got 28, and Judge Abascal got 3.
And again, so just a little bit about that. And so just because you don't see many comments and likes in regards to polls like this, I want you to know, I want everybody to get excited about my race because that is not reflective of the amount of support and love that I've seen from the community. That is not reflective of the amount of things that I've heard from the community. And so because of that, I'm asking everybody to go out there and vote Edgar H. Juarez, Justicia con Juarez, first page on the ballot.
Awesome. So, well, I guess we'll end it there, Edgar. And we want to thank you for taking time and scheduling an interview with our podcast here on the Rising Texan podcast. So, we wish you luck in your race, and maybe we can get you back in here before it's all said and done, and see how we're feeling once the polls open, right?
Yeah, and
And
and I
get
do want to
another.
apologize. I'm sorry, Isaac. I do want to apologize. I feel like I'm like real hot. It's just I still am not 100%, but we're fighting. We're keeping in it, and everybody. Oh, make sure everybody knows that we're having a freeze. Everybody take care of yourselves. Make
Mhm.
sure you bring in your
Yeah,
dog.
that's right.
Make sure that everybody keeps safe. And my understanding that Eagle Pass Independent School District cancels school for tomorrow, so everybody stay safe. If you don't have to go out, don't go out there. And if you have court, well, I hope it's in the 293rd because then that would be via Zoom. If not, you would
Yeah,
have to go in person.
yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Edgar. Well, we appreciate it. You have a nice night and get well soon.
All right, thank you.
All right. Guys, thank you for joining in tonight. Like I said, we had an interesting interview. That we're going to be having these interviews throughout the week since as we're nearing the election, the 2022 elections. Primary Democratic primaries open in February 14th with the early voting, and on Valentine's Day, less than 2 weeks away. So we wanted to bring you some consistent interviews leading up to these elections, so you guys are well knowledgeable and know, whatever choice you are going to make, you go ahead and make it knowing, you heard from the candidate directly, maybe got to answer a question of yours, or anything like that. That way that's why we have these podcasts and try to every election get these guys to come in with us, and just have a conversation about what's going on, what's surrounding, and what they stand for, and what they will stand for in our community, and us as voters that vote for them. What are we going to be expecting from them? So I appreciate y'all hanging out with us, listening to what we had. to say in our interview with attorney Edgar H. Juarez. Again, he is running for the 365th Judicial District as the district judge. So we want to go ahead and wish him luck. Hopefully, we can catch up with him again soon. Real quick, guys, before we end it, we got a shout out to our sponsors, of course. This podcast was brought to you by the re-elect Roberto Ruiz for County Commissioner Precinct 4 campaign. He is running Roberto Ruiz. He is the Maverick County Commissioner right now, Precinct 4. He is running for re-election, and he will be asking, people for votes. And the thing is that if you pay attention to local politics, or watch a few meetings, or know what's going on around in the county, you can see that if there's an independent voice in there, and there's more than one, but if there's ever an independent voice, that somebody that wants transparency, that asks questions, that wants as much information available to the public, and access to this public information. No one else, but we've seen it proven time and time again in commissioner's court. The past year, Roberto Ruiz has been stepping up to the plate, in true fashion as a U.S. Marine, defending what he believes in. And like I say, disclosure. Yes, he is my uncle, of course, but I can totally say that there's no better man than Roberto Ruiz for the job. And you can see, he's a career educator, like I said, a Marine, and he has shown you, the voters of Precinct 4, that he's willing to stand up and fight for his precinct. Whether he has to, endure a lot of embarrassments, a lot of slurs throws away, a lot of bias. They call him a clown, and you see countless of times when the county judge kind of brushes him off, and is very demeaning in his behavior towards uh, not only our United States Marine veteran, Roberto Ruiz, Commissioner Precinct 4, um, but also to Miss Olga Ramos, who is the commissioner of Precinct 3. We've seen, a lot of disrespect towards her, and especially lately with the videos that they recently posted out. You see, I did post about it in our page, but just to keep you guys up to date of what is going on. Apparently, with a lot of the campaign videos that Maverick County Judge David Salcedo has been doing, he has been mentioning that, the dire financial situation that's going on in the city of Eagle Pass. And this has been said over and over and over again by Maverick County Judge David Salcedo. So in turn, the city of Eagle Pass Mayor Rolando Salinas made a video stating about the financial situation that is in Eagle Pass right now. And they have, a very good credit rating. That's why they've been able to bring all these projects, like the nice complex that we have now, and all the infrastructure changes that are happening. Rolando Salinas, the mayor, was able to virtually debunk what happened, or what was being said by Judge Salcedo, that the city is in a very good financial situation. So shortly, from what I hear, shortly after finding out about that post, apparently the judge, I mean, this is again from a confidential source that attended the meeting, kind of saw it was rude that the judge, kind of walked out the way he did in a storm. And I can't speculate as to what the situation was, but we do have the video up there for you guys to take a look at. And that's a situation that's going on right now. Political shots are being fired, and it's both sides are oneing up the other side, right? And you gotta everybody starting to bring out their big guns. So I kind of wanted just to update you guys on that. And again, the sponsor of our show is the re-elect Roberto Ruiz for County Commissioner Precinct 4 campaign brought you this podcast. Um, the re-elect Roberto Ruiz for Maverick County Commissioner, Precinct 4. Precinct 4, go out and vote for a U.S. Marine veteran. Rodriguez Consulting and Services, 830-971-4068 for all your business consulting needs. Viva Canine Dog Training, Grooming, and Boarding Center, guys, 830-513-3523. Wagon Wheel Smokehouse and Saloon, 830-513-7250. You could always donate us something on Cash App with the $ The Rising Texan Media. Guys, that's all I got for today. We will be back tomorrow having an interview. We're trying to schedule conversations with certain people. And as soon as we know, hopefully by tomorrow morning, we will let you guys know. We'll also be having some news coming out tomorrow. So watch out for that. It's having to do with the Maverick County elections. We got access to some paperwork that might be rather interesting to discuss. So be on the lookout for that. I'll let y'all know what topic we'll be hitting on tomorrow or who we'll be interviewing. But we appreciate y'all stopping by and watching the show. Again, guys, this podcast was sponsored by the Re-elect Roberto Ruiz for County Commissioner Precinct 4 campaign. This was the Rising Texan